Played each other last year. Did the officiating team consider reflecting on those two games in terms of similarities of flags called in both games and the consistency that some similar flags might occur on Sunday? So some certain things they need to be aware of coming into the game.
Yeah, they're going to look at previous Super Bowls. They're going to look at games. They're studying and scouting. And I think you are. Look, the reality is you get in this game. And even in the postseason, fouls from the regular season to the postseason go down. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. The better teams are in the postseason. They understand the magnitude. You know, you win or you go home. So they're going to be more disciplined. But I think officials, even subconsciously, don't want to be the story, and so they're going to be a little more just kind of, less liberal in terms of throwing flags, and that could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing if they let too much go. So it's just about finding that right balance.
So is it a case that quote that you hear many a time during the commentary, let the teams play, and hopefully the best team comes out on top?
Yeah, let the teams play is great. The problem is if you go too far, if you let them play and one team says, hey, they're not calling anything, we're just going to grab, we're going to hold, we're going to get away with a bunch, and we're going to gain an advantage, that's where let them play becomes a problem. So you've got to maintain that kind of the integrity of it.
Dean, what is the answer to counter what people say sometimes about officials? There's something else that gets in the way of their call outside of just
making the call. I mean, look, we're all human, but the good officials block out the noise. They don't, honestly, if you talk to officials, the funny thing is at the end of the game, some officials will be like, they got to fill out a report, and they don't even know what the final score was, right? They see two jerseys, it's a red jersey and it's a white jersey, or a green jersey and a white jersey, and they're just trying to officiate that play. Each play, because they go through a mental checklist before the game, the pre-play routine, during the play, and then after the play. So they're just, again, trying to get it right. They block out that noise. But they're human, and maybe they talk about it, they think about it, but once the game kind of kicks off, they're not thinking about other stuff.
Right, you hear people all the time saying, well, the league interfered with the call, and they were swayed to make those types of calls.
But I do think if the league was more transparent about the process, I think that would eliminate some of those questions. And I think that would be helpful.
What makes a good official, Dean? 3 or 4 things that you're evaluating someone.
Decisiveness is number one. Not kind of stepping up in the moment, not being afraid. Because this is like the biggest spotlight. You can't shy away from those things. And I think there's a physical fitness component. You've got to be, if you can't be in good position, you're not, I don't care how good your eyesight is, you're not going to be able to make the call. But I think decisiveness is probably the number one thing. That confidence that comes with knowing that, you're prepared, you've done your homework, and you're ready to go.
Dean, does a great college official make a great NFL official? Because you have the players making their transition. That doesn't happen sometimes.
It doesn't always happen, just like the players, right? How many first-round picks don't pan out? It's just like officials. And the league does, if you're in your first 3 years, the league can basically, let you go within those first 3 years because you're not up to the standard that they performance standard that they set. So yeah, it doesn't. A good college official doesn't necessarily translate all the time. A lot of times it does, but sometimes it doesn't.
What do you tell an official who's officiating the Super Bowl?
Just forget about the noise. It's like every game that you've worked up until this point. Yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot more eyeballs. But once we kick off, it's the same game. It's the same game.
Any new rules next year forthcoming?
Well, yeah, the committee's going to talk about a bunch of things. Maybe replay assist, adding things to that. I think there's going to be, looking at the tush push. I think we're going to see, other areas. I don't know exactly where they're going to land on those things. I think they may tweak the kickoff. But yeah, I think those are the major ones.
What's under consideration about that play?
The kickoff?
The tush push.
The tush push, I think getting rid of it. I think they're going to talk about, is this a play that from a safety perspective, from an officiating perspective, that is good for the game? Right now there hasn't been a consensus to vote it out, but I think they're going to have that conversation again.
Thank you, Dean.
You got it.
How do you think